I sold my condo to save our family hotel from bankruptcy. At the board meeting, my parents named my brother CEO instead. He has the leadership skills you lack, Mom smirked. I said nothing, just made one phone call and left. The next morning, when the bank called them about the loan transfer, my voicemail was filled with their desperate messages. I, 34M, invested everything to save our family business only to be betrayed. This all started about 3 years ago. Our family hotel business was facing serious financial troubles. The hotel has been in our family for 3 generations, starting with my grandfather who built it from nothing in the 1960s. My father took over in the 90s and expanded it into what it is today, a modest but respected 60-room hotel in a tourist area that's done well until recently. I grew up working there during summers and weekends. While my brother, 38M, went to an expensive business school and then traveled around Europe, finding himself on our parents' dime, I studied hospitality management and worked my way up in the hotel industry at other properties to gain outside experience. When COVID hit, our hotel struggled like many others. Tourism dried up, and even as things began to recover, we were facing serious debt issues. By early last year, the business was on the verge of bankruptcy. My parents called a family meeting with my brother and me to discuss options. We're looking at closing down if we can't secure additional funding, my father explained, looking more defeated than I'd ever seen him. The bank won't extend our credit line anymore. My mother added, we've put everything we have into this place. It's not just a business. It's our legacy. I had been keeping tabs on the situation and had already done some research. What about restructuring the debt? Or finding an investor? My father shook his head. We've looked into it. No investors are interested in a hotel our size in this market right now, and restructuring won't solve the fundamental cash flow problem. My brother, who had moved back to town a few years ago and was supposedly helping manage the hotel, though he mostly delegated everything while taking a generous salary, chimed in. Maybe it's time to sell. The property alone is worth something. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Sell? This is our family legacy. Grandfather would roll over in his grave. My mother sighed. We don't want to sell either, but we need about $450,000 to clear the most pressing debts and have enough operating capital to make it through until business picks up again. I took a deep breath. I had been successful in my career and had saved carefully. I also owned a condo in a desirable area that had appreciated significantly. Combined with my savings, I could help save the hotel. I can get the money, I said simply. Everyone turned to look at me. My father's eyes widened. How? I'll sell my condo and liquidate my investments. Between that and my savings, I can cover it. My brother snorted. That's ridiculous. You'd give up your home. It's an investment in our family's future, I replied. I can rent for a while. The hotel will recover, and then we can work out how to repay me over time. My parents looked at each other, then back at me with tears in their eyes. We couldn't ask you to do that, my father said. You're not asking. I'm offering. But I want to be more involved in the business decisions going forward to make sure we get back on track. After some discussion, everyone agreed. Over the next few weeks, I sold my condo for $380,000 and liquidated investments worth another $70,000. I transferred the full $450,000 to the hotel's business account. I hired a top-tier business attorney who specialized in family businesses to protect my interests. He drew up comprehensive paperwork stating that my contribution was a loan to the business that would be repaid with interest over time, and that I would receive a 30% ownership stake in the hotel. The documents explicitly specified that I would have a say in major business decisions and included clauses about future management positions and succession planning. My lawyer specifically warned me about potential family disputes and added protective clauses accordingly. Everyone reviewed the documents with their own counsel and signed. I took a part-time sabbatical from my regular job, reducing to 20 hours per week so I could dedicate significant time to the hotel. For the next 18 months, I worked tirelessly to help turn things around. I updated our online presence, negotiated better rates with suppliers, and implemented a new marketing strategy targeting domestic travelers. My brother continued doing minimal work while taking his full salary. Slowly but surely, bookings started to increase. By the 18-month mark after my investment, we were almost back to pre-pandemic occupancy rates, and the financial outlook was significantly improved. That's when my father called another family meeting. I've been thinking about the future of the hotel, he began. "I'm not getting any younger, and it's time to think about succession planning." I nodded, expecting him to discuss a transition plan that would involve both my brother and me, given my increased role and financial stake. "We need to formalize the leadership structure," my father continued. "That's why I'm proposing we create a proper board and appoint a CEO to run day-to-day operations." "Sounds reasonable," I said. "When you want to discuss the details?" "I've already prepared the paperwork," my father replied, sliding folders across the table to each of us. "We'll have a board consisting of myself, your mother, you, and your brother. And your brother will serve as CEO." I nearly choked. "What? We never discussed him being CEO." My brother smirked. "Who did you think would run things?" "You? You've always been the worker bee, not the leader." I turned to my parents. "I put everything I had into saving this hotel. I've been helping turn it around while he's been collecting a paycheck for minimal work. And now you're handing him control." My mother's expression hardened. "Your brother has a business degree from a prestigious university. He has the leadership skills you lack. You're too caught up in the details instead of seeing the big picture." "The details are what saved this hotel from bankruptcy," I shot back. "And my prestigious brother was ready to sell our family legacy without a second thought." "That was before we had options," my father cut in smoothly. "The decision is made. We appreciate your financial contribution, but this is what's best for the hotel's future." I sat there stunned as they continued discussing the transition as if my concerns meant nothing. It became crystal clear that they had planned this all along: use my money to save the business, then hand control to the golden child once the crisis was past. "The paperwork also outlines a timeline for repaying your loan," my father added, as if that would placate me. "We're thinking 10 years, with modest interest." I flipped through the documents. The repayment schedule was indeed there, but buried in the legalese was a clause that would essentially dilute my 30% ownership stake to just 5% over time, while my brother's share, which he had contributed nothing to earn, would increase to 25%. "This isn't what we agreed to," I said quietly. "It's a standard business restructuring," my brother replied condescendingly. "You wouldn't understand the finer points of corporate governance." "I understand when I'm being screwed over," I replied. My mother sighed dramatically. "There you go again, making everything so personal. This is business. Your brother simply has the vision and connections to take the hotel to the next level. He has the leadership skills you lack," she smirked, exchanging a knowing look with my brother. I considered arguing further, but realized it would be pointless. They had already made up their minds and were merely going through the motions of including me. Instead, I excused myself to use the restroom, taking the folder with me. Once alone, I made a phone call to my attorney who had helped draft the original investment agreement. I explained the situation briefly and asked him to be available first thing tomorrow morning. Then I returned to the meeting, said nothing further about my objections, and went through the motions until it was over. "We'll formalize everything at the official board meeting next Monday," my father announced. "I expect everyone to sign the documents then." I nodded non-committally and left. That night, I didn't sleep. I reviewed every document from my original investment, including all the clauses my lawyer had wisely included for protection. The next morning, I met with my attorney and explained the situation in detail. He was outraged on my behalf. "They can't do this," he assured me. "Your original agreement is binding. It specifically states that any changes to the ownership structure or major business decisions require unanimous approval from all shareholders, including you." "And what about the loan itself?" I asked. He smiled. "That's where they've really overplayed their hand. The loan agreement includes an acceleration clause that can be triggered under certain conditions, including any attempt to unilaterally alter the terms of our ownership agreement without your consent." By noon, my attorney had drafted a formal notice invoking the acceleration clause, demanding immediate repayment of the entire $450,000 loan, plus the agreed-upon interest. Since I knew they didn't have that kind of cash on hand, the notice also specified that failure to repay within 30 days would result in my exercising the option to convert the debt into additional equity, which would give me majority control of the hotel. I also contacted the bank that held the hotel's accounts and existing loans. During the refinancing process when I made my investment, I had become a personal guarantor on some of the loans. I formally notified them of the ownership dispute and provided documentation showing potential breach of loan covenants. I requested they review the situation and consider restrictions on certain transactions pending resolution. My attorney also filed a formal notice of dispute with the county clerk, which would appear in any title search or new loan application for the property. Then I made one final call to a hotel management company I had connections with from my career. They had previously expressed interest in partnering with family-owned hotels like ours. I explained that there might be an ownership restructuring soon and asked if they were still interested in discussing potential collaboration. With everything in motion, I sent the formal notice via certified mail to the hotel's business address and to my parent home. Then I turned off my phone and checked into a hotel in a neighboring town for the weekend, needing space to clear my head. When I turned my phone back on Sunday night, I had 27 missed calls and dozens of messages. The bank had acted quickly, not by completely freezing accounts, which would be unusual, but by placing temporary holds on large transactions and requiring dual signatures for withdrawals over $5,000, standard protocol when notified of an ownership dispute involving a loan guarantor. My parents' messages had gone from angry, "How dare you do this?" to pleading, "We need to talk this through," to concerned, "The bank is requiring additional approvals for transactions. We need to resolve this." My brother's messages were initially sneering, "Nice tantrum, but it won't work," then threatening, "You'll regret this," and finally panicked, "What did you tell the bank?" They're saying they might call all the loans. I sent a single text to my father. "I'll be at the board meeting tomorrow as scheduled. We can discuss terms then." Monday morning, I arrived at the hotel 15 minutes early for the 10 a.m. meeting. I was surprised to find not just my parents and brother, but also their lawyer waiting in the conference room. Everyone looked like they hadn't slept. "What have you done?" my father demanded as soon as I walked in. I sat down calmly. "I protected my investment, just like you were trying to protect yours. The bank has frozen our operating accounts," my mother exclaimed. "We can barely run the hotel, and they're threatening to call in all the loans," my brother added, glaring at me. "Do you want to destroy everything?" "That's rich coming from the person who wanted to sell this place a year ago," I replied. "And no, I don't want to destroy anything. I want what we originally agreed to, respect for my contribution, and a genuine say in how this business is run." Their lawyer cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should discuss how to resolve this situation amicably." My attorney, who had entered behind me, placed his briefcase on the table. "Excellent idea. We've prepared some options." Over the next 3 hours, we negotiated. My parents and brother tried various tactics: guilt, anger, appeals to family loyalty, but my attorney and I remained focused on the business aspects. Finally, we reached an agreement. 1. I would withdraw the acceleration clause demand if they abided by our original ownership agreement. 2. My 30% stake would remain intact with no dilution. 3. Instead of a CEO, we would hire a professional hotel manager, reporting to the board. 4. The board would require a consensus of both myself and at least one other board member for major decisions, effectively giving me veto power as no significant changes could happen without my approval. 5. My brother's salary would be adjusted to reflect his actual duties. 6. The loan repayment would proceed as originally agreed. 7. I would be released from my personal guarantees on the hotel loans as soon as the business showed 2 consecutive quarters of profit. My father looked defeated as he signed the new documents. My mother couldn't even look at me. My brother stormed out before the meeting concluded. As we finished, my father asked quietly, "Are you happy now? You've torn the family apart." I looked at him steadily. "I didn't do that. You did when you decided that my contribution, financial and professional, was worth less than maintaining the family hierarchy with brother at the top. I just refused to be the sacrificial lamb. In the months since, we've implemented the new structure. The professional manager we hired has been excellent, and the hotel is now consistently profitable. My relationship with my family remains strained, but we maintain professional interactions at board meetings. My brother still barely speaks to me. Last month, he came to the board meeting with a proposal to expand the hotel using new loans. When I vetoed the idea as too risky, given our recent recovery, he exploded. "This is why you should never have been given any power. You have no vision." I just smiled. "No, I have no desire to put this hotel back into the precarious financial position it was in before. Perhaps if you had been the one to sacrifice your home and savings to save it, you'd be more cautious too." My mother tried to smooth things over. "Your brother has always been more ambitious. He sees opportunities you don't. And I see risks he ignores, I countered. That's why we have a board to balance these perspectives. I don't regret my decisions, either investing in a hotel or fighting for my rights afterward. Sometimes standing your ground means being willing to risk relationships that are already damaged by others' actions. My parents and brothers showed their true colors when they tried to use my investment to save the hotel, while planning to push me aside once the crisis was over. The hotel that my grandfather built is thriving again, and I'm ensuring it stays that way, even if my family will never admit I was right.